Welcome to OneLife, a podcast by BetterCo. We've got our fellow two directors here. My name is Vinay, this is Alistair and Justin.
How's it going?
Guys. Now, we're talking about a cool topic today that is front of mind for many. Challenging year. We want to create conversation here where you listeners can go away and have those conversations with people in barbecues worth it back at work and spark some good conversation and debate. So we might be a little left field here and there today. Should be something that you should take away and use. That's our goal for the end of this session. So let's make finance and business fun, more engaging, one episode at a time. Hopefully we can make everybody's lives better because you only get one life. So what are we talking about today? Cash flow confidence. I think it's one of those things that business is always more fun when cash flow is good. We're talking about cash flow confidence, how to get it, what to do to get it, and then mastering cash flow, because the key to business stability is cash flow.
Yeah.
I think.
What happens if there's no cash flow? Life sucks, man.
Life sucks.
Honestly.
Really sucks.
You turn, you get negative, you can't pay bills, you get stressed, it keeps you up at night. The list goes on. If you're a business owner, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, demystify a lot of these challenges for you guys.
Yes.
And teach you how to be better business owners around cash flow, because cash is king.
Cash is king.
And it's great to throw around these acronyms like cash is king, right? But sometimes the king is wrong too. So, you could have plenty of cash, but you're only typically a bad season or a bad month or a bad deal away from the shit if you don't know how to measure cash flow. We've got some talking points today to help you master it. A couple of those are the fundamentals of cash flow management, like what do we believe in, and signs of bad cash flow management.
Yeah.
We can talk about how to actually do a forecast. Sounds a bit dull and boring, but I think, like I said, having cash flow is more fun. Hopefully we can make that a little bit fun. And then just that challenge at the end of managing expenses and cash flow versus growth, and making sure that balances out with your growth, and the importance of having reserves and all of that and balancing all of that. So
yes,
that's where we're going with today. We always talk about cash is king and cash flow. How do we get it? What is it?
I don't know about you guys, but I just want to start by saying that through our client base, this last 12 months has been hard for cash flow. It's like it's almost on a weekly, every other day basis that we're getting a phone call saying, look, I need to get some reports done because I need to talk to my bank. So it's been hard, and we're here to help. I think let's put it that way. So we help our clients with their cash flow. We can't help them run their businesses sometimes, but we can actually get them to look at their cash flow and how it works for their business. Yeah. But what is cash flow? It's money coming in and it's money going out. So at the basic level, you want more money coming in
Always good.
than you have going out, right?
Yeah. It sounds like we're laughing, but I think people overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It's a life essence of business in itself.
Yes. You can invoice until the cows come home, but if your customers do not pay you, you're not going to be in business for very long, right? So it's as simple as that.
We should stick that on a note, send it out to everybody, and so they can print it out, stick it on their fridge. Business 101.
Cash flow.
But let's go through it. So the money coming in, it's sales and revenue, right? It could be loans from banks. It could be a temporary overdraft. It could be money? It could be your own money. So invested money that you put in, funds introduced, or it could be a buyer or someone coming in as a shareholder into your business.
Yeah, raising equity.
Yeah. So it's not just sales and revenue. There's other ways that money can come in.
I was talking to someone the other day, and I said to them, I remember when I first started out in my career, and I used to think any accountant who had an overdraft can't be very good at money management. How wrong I was, Every business should have some sort of backstop.
Yeah.
And something to help you deal with the bottom end of cash flow.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that you're going to be negative cash flow by the end of the month.
No.
But something to help you deal with that bottom end.
And when's the best time to get an overdraft or organise one?
When you don't need it.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
And we've talked about this till the cows come home on this podcast.
But I think we need to reiterate that because it's so important. Like when things are going well, that's when you need to think of what's ahead and what challenges may you have.
Yeah.
So get ready for that. And so cash flow and forecasting is so important. So we talk about budgeting and forecasting quite a lot, but it's so important for cash flow as well. So we can assist, and it's funny because you can do like a full year forecast and budget, and cash flow is quite hard to actually look at over a longer period of time. Yeah. So I think what we find the best is those shorter terms. So I think we've even got daily cash flow forecast for some of our clients, But I think it's keeping a handle on your forecast and your cash flow on a regular basis is really important.
Yeah. And how do people do that at the moment that you see? How do they
Oh, look, as I said, we've got a few clients that we act for that we actually help them with that, but a lot of them just don't. They really don't know when their cash flow is going to hit. So when are their accounts receivable going to hit? They don't look at it closely. So it's debtor management. When's those payroll cycles? Is it weekly, fortnightly, monthly? It's just making sure all of that's right.
So they don't understand how their business works, or do they really understand how their business works?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it does vary across clients, and it really does. There's some people that are so onto it, they are looking at it on a daily basis. Is that overkill? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think, so it's whatever works for you, but I think you just need to be doing something rather than putting your head in the sand and doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, having a cash flow forecast or any sense of forecast gives you data, right? Give you data to make a decision, like things like, can I afford to upgrade my car? Can I afford to hire the next marketing manager? Can I afford to give my key member a pay rise or bonus? These are very important sort of key risks that you got to manage within the business that you need to play around with your cash flow with.
Yes.
Yeah, without that, otherwise you just have a risky decision making.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that conversation of can I afford those things and cash flow, sometimes they give you different answers. So you might have great cash flow for whatever reason, but for the next couple of months, it's not so great. But you need to spend more money because somebody wants a pay rise, or you've got more marketing to do, you've got to buy some product.
And that's why the forecast is so important. And it's all about plan. When is that capital expenditure? But more so these days, it's when your taxes are due as well.
Yeah.
People are getting into a whole lot of trouble not being able to pay their taxes. And that just comes down to cash flow and not being able to.
IRD interest rate around 11%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Expensive.
So if you're late, bang.
Yeah.
2 to 4%
You
penalty.
owe 100 grand, it's 11 grand gone off the pocket
Yeah, plus the penalty.
just by doing nothing.
What are some of the red flags that people should be looking out for in their own business that says to them, oh shit, I don't actually know how my cash flow works, or even worse, if it happens, they're just one disaster away from shutting down.
Yeah, I think it's people that owe you money is so important. So your debtors, your accounts receivable, you need to make it as easy as possible for people to pay you.
Yeah.
First and foremost, So whether the terms are 7, 14, 20th of the month following, whatever that is, you need to have mechanisms in place where you collect that money.
Fast.
Because that's your lifeline.
Yeah. And it's embarrassing for people if they don't pay you on time, in my opinion. I don't give two shits, mate. If someone pays you late, it's their fault. They should be embarrassed, not me if I'm chasing you. It's not my fault.
But sometimes if you don't chase them for 2 months, 3 months, they just take it for granted.
Yeah.
And we've seen some horror stories in the property industry, right, where people don't get paid, you get a $500,000 owing from a developer and they go bust the next month.
Yeah.
And your business is literally wiped out in a matter of days or seconds.
Yeah.
Scary.
People worry about contracts and things like that, like, oh, I'm not allowed to pull my guys off site or whatever. And mate, yeah, you can. They all just sick that day.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But you got to be smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, we're pretty good, BetterCo, and I think for the majority of our clients, pretty good. But just keeping on those people that, that they're overdue and they owe you money. You just need to. There's probably two things. You need to have the systems in place to collect the money quickly.
Yeah.
So whether that's, I think we've mentioned it before, but Go Cardless, Stripe, any of those operators.
You want to make it easier for your customers to pay you.
To pay you, yeah. Or for you to pull the money, even better, But I think as soon as people stop paying you, you're on them straight away, whether it's you or your team, you're on them to make payment.
Yeah, and I think if you're not that type of person who's got that backbone or is embarrassed to chase people, like I said, the other person should be embarrassed, but just outsource it. Find somebody who does that. And there's plenty of people who will chase your money for you.
Yes.
I would say, get the bulldog on the other end of the phone. If you don't want to be the bulldog.
Sometimes we're just too nice, really. Can't be Mr. Nice.
We all want to be nice people, but
Yeah.
I want to be paid. And most business owners want to be paid.
Yes. It's basically setting boundaries, right? Because it's a domino effect. You let your customers not pay you, you lack cash flow, your business struggles, your family struggles.
Yeah.
So if you're not setting boundaries at the early stage in the business, you're actually doing a detriment to your family.
Yeah.
And it creates stress and personal issues and,
So,
all
so
that
those,
stuff.
the key here about getting paid fast is it's called debtor days or
Yes.
accounts receivable days. Everyone should just go and check that. Go and check what your debtor days or your accounts receivable days
It's on the
is
dashboard in Zero, so you can
Yeah.
actually go in there and you can see.
Just go and check it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're at 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, it's probably quite slow.
Yes.
Depending on your payment terms, reduce those and get paid faster.
Yes.
What other red flags are we seeing?
The bank's knocking on your door. I'm just kidding. Don't want that. Yeah.
It does happen.
Oh, but I think you're right. You know, there's businesses that have high levels of debt. You
Yes,
know,
lots
so
of debt.
yeah, so they
Especially
get,
IRD debt. That's
IRD debt, but even bank debt and overdrafts, and you know, having temporary overdrafts going over your limits. That's a telltale sign.
Yeah,
you know,
if you
so-
constantly need temporary
Top-ups.
overdrafts and
Yeah,
top-ups.
yeah, that's
Red
it.
flag.
Yeah.
That's-
sometimes you just got to pause and be like, look, am I just constant? Is this digging a hole?
Yeah,
And we're just going deeper and deeper behind slowly?
yes.
Or is there a light at the end of the tunnel where I can get out of it?
Well, I have I can think right now of 3 clients in the last 3 or 4 years that have been using temporary overdrafts.
Mhm.
And they're all 3 actually were the opposite to that. They're just growing and they actually needed to lift their overdraft limit
just for working capital.
just for working capital.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that they were digging a hole, which is what they thought,
Mm.
that we're just digging a hole for ourselves and taking on more debt. But they're not. It's just temporary.
It's a seasonal thing. that you
No,
need
it's
to
just
do.
a monthly thing.
Yeah.
Their bottom end at the end of the middle of the month, for example,
Yes.
on the 20th was like
Correct.
quite low.
Yeah.
By the end of the month, it all kind of fixes itself.
Yeah.
So.
But this is what we call still a healthy balance sheet, right?
Yeah.
You know, you got to use debt to grow faster.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you're just putting in your own money,
Yeah.
which you can get a better return outside of the business.
Or time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Opportunity
right.
costs.
Or time.
Mm.
Yeah.
I suppose another telltale sign would be if you hold inventory in your business, you know,
Yes.
and your inventory levels are quite high, you know, because all of your money is maybe tied up in stock. And there might be some slow moving stock that you need to move on quickly. So that could be a telltale sign. Are you guys seeing anything like that for your clients that hold stock?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the one in e-commerce, especially getting stock from overseas, that takes time. Stock in transit, the ones from the US or China.
Yeah.
Usually that's always the cash flow pressure to get
Yes.
stock,
Yes.
especially pre-Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stock is such a hard one because you need it to make revenue.
Correct. There's a chicken and
unless
egg
you have
thing.
sort of
Yeah.
drop shipping mentality, but that's easy for small things. But
Yes.
one of the things I've recently seen is a key supplier. A client of mine went to a key supplier and just lengthened when they can pay them. So they went to 50 days instead of 30 days. So
Yep.
get the stock on time, but don't
Yes.
have to pay for it until
Yeah.
50
But
days.
there's so many smart ways, right? If you own a stock-based business and you're paying in overseas currencies like US or China that's constantly going up with New Zealand dollars going down, that's a cash flow risk that you can manage through hedging.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what hedging is, you're basically, if you're paying, US dollars for stock and US goes up 10% in price in the next 6 months,
Yeah.
your same stock is going to cost you 10% more.
Yeah.
But if you hedge it against the New Zealand dollars, you pair it with an overseas currency pair,
Yes.
you'll basically pay the same cost by using some futures and options.
Yeah.
So that if you talk to your bank, there's so many strategies they can go around that. You just got to be proactive.
Fuck, you're smart.
Get it all the time.
I was going, sheesh.
Yeah,
You almost
so
lost me there.
It's
No,
really
hang in
risk
there.
management,
Yes.
and no matter how small of a business, there's always ways to do it.
Yeah.
A big business do the same. There's just more zeros at the end,
Yeah.
and we see the strategy throughout. So
They
But
just
don't
to
you
go
need
back.
cash flow?
yes, yes,
Yeah. All I'm saying is, I think what you've said is really smart. But if you go in, you don't need to really understand the whole thing.
No.
If you just go and talk to somebody who does,
they will help you.
there's no stupid question,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Everyone's there to help you. If that's their service, they actually want to help you
Yeah.
with that service.
I've got one more, guys. Drawings. Taking money out of the
yeah.
business. How many clients do we have that just like strip the business of cash
Yeah.
to fund their own lifestyles?
Yeah.
Which I like.
Can be outrageous if it's at the detriment of the business, right?
Yeah, that's dumb.
If
Yeah.
there's a strategy around it, that's fine.
Yes.
But
Yeah. That's right. Like
It's-
we
it's a
obviously-
fine line,
It's a
right?
fine line. We love people stripping money out of the business
To do things
to do
outside
things
of the
outside the
business.
business
Correct.
that are
Correct.
part of their planning. and to take home. But shit.
But what I'm saying, well, not very often, thank goodness, but they're taking the tax money, so they're behind in taxes, with the IRD in debt, and they're just still taking the money out for their own lifestyle, which I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Someone went to jail for that stuff. I saw an article where they owe the IRD $2 million and they use it to fund their personal gambling debt and personal lifestyle, and they went to jail.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary stuff,
Crazy.
It can become tax avoidance very quickly.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to a more sort of a to-do list type conversation of what someone should do in the next 30, 60, 90 days to start working on their cash flow. I think the first thing you start with, like Justin said, is just write down where all your money comes in and write down where all your money comes out. And then you can put it into a spreadsheet, or you can put it into a Word document, or you can put it into a piece of software. It really doesn't matter. But I think what you've got to start with first is to just define where all the money comes in and where it all goes out.
Yes. And if you're a small business owner, you don't know how to use a spreadsheet, learn. Seriously.
Yes.
The amount of good business owners I work with that knows how to work a spreadsheet, even on a basic cash flow level, it's quite important to their success.
Cell 1 plus cell 2 equals cell 3. It's not that fucking hard.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just do it on a monthly plan or weekly. If you're not doing it, that's fine. You can pay us like an accountant to run a system for you.
Yeah.
We could use softwares like Float, Spotlight, Fathom, even on Excel to run it to your liking. You just got to bear the costs, really.
Yeah.
But if that cost is going to turn into decision making and quicker growth for your business, it's still a win.
Right.
And we can share, we've got a few templates within BetterCo that we can share, and we're happy to share those.
Yeah.
Because we just see it as such a vital part of your business. And if you can't forecast and budget your cash flow going out, even if it's a few months, then,
Yeah.
Yeah, we sound a
Just
bit
not
geeky here, but man, cash flow is boring stuff.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that the last thing you want to do from a hard day of business is to go on a spreadsheet and look at your cash flow.
I don't know, I find it really exciting.
Yeah,
You're a bloody
strange, aren't
accountant.
I'll tell you why I find it exciting. I like numbers going up,
Yes.
okay? And if the numbers aren't going up, I'm going to go and fix it,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I find it exciting because if the number's going up, that's good.
Yes.
To me, I like that.
Yep.
But if it's going backwards, I'll just put everything else to the side and go, how do we fix this?
What do I need to do to fix this?
Yeah.
Correct.
And the other reason I like doing it, and I think cash flow is important, is because you've got to make a decision. Do I back myself and the business, or do I back what the media and other people are doing? Like, which one am I backing? Me and the business, or them?
Yes.
And I'm like a back me and our business type person, right? So that's why I find it exciting. Because like, what can we do? Let's do some stuff.
It's your fate.
And it aligns to the strategy,
Yeah.
I feel. That's why I find it
Yeah,
exciting.
but the amount of time I've seen business owners that we work with just put their head in the sand with these cash flow stuff. Like, we tell them there's an issue, like, hey, mate, we can solve it, but they don't want to fix it.
Yeah.
It's almost like a relationship with money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty hard. Like, sometimes it's just a mental block on money. Okay, there's an issue,
Yes.
don't deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too hard.
So would a solution be, do you have many clients that have different buckets of money, if you like? So they have different bank accounts set up at their bank to put aside for upcoming payroll, GST, income tax. Do you have clients that do that?
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
probably
they're
a
my
really
favorite
good-
clients.
Yeah.
All of them that do that. You've got your checking account for every day.
Yes.
You've got your next savings account for your GST money that you're dumping money in every week or 2 weeks or monthly. You've got your third account for your income tax, which money can go in there again weekly, fortnightly, monthly. Some people have separate account for wages.
Yes.
I just think that's everyday stuff, so that should just be in the check account, so that's not important to me. I think if you don't have a credit card, you're kind of lazy a little bit, and you're probably walking around with an FPOS card to your main bank account, which has got access to too much money, so that's like high risk for me.
Yeah.
Get a credit card.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Rainy day fund, potentially,
Yep.
for things that, happen out of the ordinary.
Yep.
I think that's a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah. So now you're talking, okay, if you've got 8 accounts, it might be overkill, right? But
Yeah.
I think it does set up good habits, to putting that money aside.
That's a
and it
key
will
word, habits, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at your personal side, it's no different. It's exactly the same. You get
Yes.
paid from your salary, you put money away, you pay your bills, you pay your mortgages,
Yeah.
you put away funds for your next holiday, for your savings, for your kids' education,
Yes.
and whatever's left, you can play around with it.
Yeah.
You play too much, you go into debt.
yeah. yeah.
It's that simple.
I told you you're
Yeah.
smart.
But again, it really is a relationship with money. Some
Yeah.
people will see money in a bank account and they will spend it. You know.
yeah.
So it
really
was like, it may sound like overkill, but whatever works for you as far as cash flow
Yeah.
goes. We've probably, when people are starting business, they don't have that understanding yet around cash flow. So as simple as setting up those bank accounts makes sense to me.
And as a simple rule, if you're just starting out in business, the first tip is always put away your GST and tax.
Yeah.
So if you get paid $1,000, GST is $1,500. Put it away. Put away maybe a third or 20% for tax, depending on your tax bracket.
Yeah.
Then pay some of your expenses out of that left. It's not much left, is it?
yeah.
Then you're out of the 20% left. You can either put it away into a savings account or just take it out as drawings.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out what your personal life is like. If your
Yes.
personal life is sucking out too much money from your business, you've got to fix that first.
Yeah.
Then the second rule is you got to have enough working capital in the business to fund your emergency fund. So if your running cost for your business is 10 grand a month, then you have at least 30 to 60 grand in your bank account at any point of time,
Yeah.
just in case another COVID happen or disaster happens or
That's
you break your
a
leg.
really easy way.
Yeah.
Like red flag, as always, what I always see is if somebody doesn't have enough money to cover 2 months,
2-3 months
of expenses.
Yes.
Operating expenses.
Yeah. Including wages.
Yeah.
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 So that's like, if you want to do something today, go on and figure out in your bank account, can I cover my expenses for 2 months?
Yes.
2 months is important because the first part is, do I not get paid for a month? Oh yeah, then I can cover it.
Yep.
3 months is the goal. Because you might not get paid for a month, but also, we've learned through COVID and all those sorts of things
Yeah.
that something else can happen.
Yeah, it is one-on-one. I asked ChatGPT the same question for my personal side. What should you do for your savings? Have at least 6 months of emergency funds. Same with your business.
Yeah.
So if you can't work for 6 months, at least you can pay a mortgage for 6 months to figure out the next plan.
Yeah.
If COVID happens again and you scrambling, at least you have 6 months to ride it through to either sell the business, buy a new business, or restructure.
And everyone's different.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds like a perfect world that we're living
Yeah.
in, though.
Yeah.
Because I've forgotten about COVID, but the economy, hasn't been great the last year or two. So those people that maybe did have those 3 to 6 months of cash flow reserves have dipped into them now, and they've come to the end of it. So I think, it's a perfect world and it's a nice to have, but the struggles have been real, and so hopefully those people did have a rainy day fund and cover for those periods where it's been tough.
Yeah. And like you said something about your relationship with money before, and I think those people with good relationships with money don't see the need for a lot of this stuff. Like, do I really need that many bank accounts? Do I really need a rainy day fund?
Yeah.
And the thing that I would say to those people is, I agree. If you don't need it, that's cool. But what's the plan if bad thing happens?
Yes.
Like me, for example, I don't have a rainy day fund. I have had them in the past, but I have access to working capital with revolving credit
If you
and
need
lots of it.
Yeah, if you need
That is the thing. Like,
That's right.
That's my access. For me, good relationship with money. If I see money in a savings account, I don't like that. I feel like that's lazy money. I would spend it on a holiday or this or that.
But it doesn't have to be a savings, right? It could be like an ETF, kind of wealth, something that generates a little bit more interest than a bank. That you
a lot
could
of people
still
don't
pull
call
out.
that an emergency fund. They
Yes.
call that an investment that I'm not allowed to touch.
Yeah,
Because
true.
again, that breeds bad habits. You go and invest, and every 6 months you pull it out. Oh, great strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't gone anywhere. So, good money habits is great, but figure out what works. What's the plan if it goes bad?
Yeah, I mean, that is the key. It's to plan again, it really is, and having that cash flow forecast completed and ready is just so important. It doesn't matter what size business either, You can be a sole trader or a company that has 100 employees. You still need to plan and you still need to forecast, is my view.
Yeah. You can, once you've done it as well, you don't have to keep doing it. Like you can set up a strategy.
Yes.
So I've got a client who drops $1,500 a week into a separate savings account. $1,500 a week. Doesn't sound like a lot for a week, It's a lot of money for the year.
Oh, that does sound quite a lot for, for the average person out there. It's $1,500 a week into a savings account. Is a lot.
We don't like average people.
Whoa, okay.
Be nice.
$1,500 a month. If you can't afford it, you got to really challenge. I think anyway, you got to challenge what you're doing inside your business. If your business cannot cash flow $1,500 a week or fortnight on whatever your cash flow cycle is,
It depends on the size.
Go and fix
You
it.
can't say that to the same sales trainer.
No, of
that's
course.
making 100K.
Yeah.
no, I know, I get it,
Yeah.
but make it 1,000 or 800 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I get it.
It's got to be substantial enough
Mm.
to be there and have enough for savings.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's just not enough money. Let's have a little conversation on. We've talked about planning and how to do it. What are some things of what not to do? What's some like real weird shit, naughty things we see of what not to do? Or what?
Oh, mate. Especially with guys, stop buying cars you can't afford. Seriously, that's...
I feel attacked.
Yeah. but seriously, like, guys especially, right? We've been brainwashed since 3-4 years old to want to buy nice cars when we're successful.
Yeah.
And so many people, even in my client base, goes into that trap.
Yeah.
You know, they buy cars, 200-300K, and they can't afford it. They finance it,
Even
And-
100K is a lot of money. On
and you don't see that finance on the balance on the P&L. You just see the interest costs, but the loan goes on your balance sheet.
Yeah.
So you constantly, and you don't see the depreciation on the balance sheet either most times.
Yeah.
And they go into a cycle. They buy a nice car, they earn a bit more money, they get lifestyle inflation, they buy a nicer car, and it keeps going and going and going. But look, if it drives them to make more money in business and growth, do it. It's all personal, right?
Yeah.
You know? It's not right or wrong.
True.
Yeah.
Is there a bit of keeping up with the Joneses as well, and that personal lifestyle that people like to have? I think there could be a bit of that. Where they just strip the company or the business of the money so that they can live the lifestyle that they want to live.
Well, I mean, most of the ugly liquidations that I've been involved in have an element of that.
Yeah.
The business owners have a very expensive lifestyle. They buy branded goods. They have a nice car on finance. They have a nice house.
Yes.
in a
We
luxury
can't
area.
see that.
Yeah. I mean, most
Typically-
cases, we talk to them about it.
Yeah.
And we see it. But there's only so much we could advise them on.
Yeah.
I can't say, mate, stop buying fucking LV.
Yeah.
But, it's up to them to really change their money habit.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Some will listen, some wouldn't. And it's a
The
really
other one I
battle.
see is ego. There's a lot of ego
Mm.
or wedded.
How do you mean?
Like, if you have a big ego, and you don't want people to see you fail.
Yes.
For example, you'll just keep going. You start
right.
burning the cash flow, burning.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to be vocal about, I took a hit, I downgraded my
Right.
car.
So
or,
people are not being vulnerable. They're just
totally.
Yeah,
Not being
gotcha.
vulnerable at all.
Look, you're so right. People lie about that stuff. You
Yeah.
look at all these online gurus on Instagram or TikTok or even those crypto people. They will hire cars just to look good in front of people. They'll
Yeah.
hire a Lambo, take some
crazy.
photos in front of it, say, hey, mate, I built a $10 million business last year,
Yeah.
but they actually haven't, and it failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it
It's
when
all
they
ego.
use those revenue numbers as well.
Yeah,
And they're like-
I made an 8-figure business or a 7-figure business.
Sold it for
But what about your
$4?
profit? Zero. That's all that matters, And what's the cash flow? Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one I would say is wedded to the job or wedded to the creativity side of it. We see it lots in restaurants and hospitality, fashion, anything that someone's obsessed over and
Yes.
really believes in. Sometimes the cash flow is so bad, and they just keep going.
Oh,
Yeah, but
gotcha.
sometimes, I talk to a lot of them and they're not doing it for the money.
That's what I'm saying.
Which is one, not necessarily a bad thing because of capitalism, but sometimes for business it can be quite a detriment just because you're not focusing on cash flow and what really
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
And they put their head in the sand and they don't want to worry about it. So
Yeah, because what I'm trying to get to is that those people focus too much on that creativity side or the thing that they love doing, and they leave the cash flow boring side out. It's like you said, if you don't know how to use a spreadsheet, go and learn.
but that's where we come in, right? I mean,
I think so.
if you're happy to pay for it, it's a
Yeah,
luxury
true.
product. It's like having a butler at home. If you don't want to clean your room, that's okay. We can clean it for you. you just got to pay for it.
Yes.
And realize that it's your opportunity cost of using your time to do other things that makes more sense.
Yeah. Or that you enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, it's like a passion project. You know, that
Yeah.
like they're really, you know, they just love it. They've got a real passion for it, but they may not have the business nous or the cash flow knowledge that is this actually doing all right.
Yeah. And they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Gotcha.
think
Yeah,
they should
there
care.
is a bit of that out there, right?
They should care.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how many times have you heard of someone saying, "Oh, mate, that guy's so good at business because he's good at numbers," right? It's a direct correlation of how to build wealth. If you look at Wealth 101, it's about managing cash flow and money.
Yeah.
Same with property. You know, you want to buy 3 properties. You want to buy a 4th one. You use the cash flow of the 3 to buy the 4th one and leverage it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing around with
Just having
numbers
the
with your
nous.
broker and
Okay, one thing for our listeners to go and do over the next month or so on cash flow. What should they do, Justin? One thing.
Just one thing. I think be interested in it for a start, because a lot of people are just not.
Yeah.
You know, so be curious about your cash flow and how it works with your business.
Great.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are just like head in the sand and they're just not into it.
Yes.
But I think it's important for your business. So just have an interest with it, ask questions, be curious.
Yep.
yeah. Right, for me, it's really the opportunity cost of not being interested. If you're not, you got to hire us, the accountants, to really look at it and manage it for you.
So
Otherwise,
what are they doing? Assessing if they're not doing it.
if they're not doing it, ask yourself whether you can pay someone to do it for you. Otherwise, what is the real opportunity cost of not managing your cash flow?
So measuring that opportunity cost and actually critically thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And is it slowing down your business overall, or is it creating pressures on your personal life?
Yeah.
that if it helps you sleep at night, it's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From me, it would be to go and figure out what is your 2 monthly expenses and how much money do I need to pay all those bills and
Yes.
wages and salaries if not a single dollar came back in. Just go and figure that out.
Yes.
Because at some point you have that much money in the bank account and you put it there, you never have to worry about cash flow
You're
again.
sweet.
Mhm.
You're sweet.
Yeah.
So go and figure that out. All right, gents, thanks very much.
That was awesome. Cash flow.
Love cash.
Cash is king.
So exciting.
It's even more fun when it flows.
More exciting when you're an accountant.
Don't forget to visit our socials as well.
We're all on there. We love to talk.
Awesome.
Cheers. Bye.